Can I safely sit on my husband's lap? It will also depend on your husband, but 170 seems like a perfectly acceptable weight to sit on someone's lap, at least for some time. I would think that it's much more about the position you are both in rather than the weight itself. Just don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on one small area, but instead distribute it out. I would just talk to him and tell him you want to try and it's totally okay if it hurts after a while and you need to readjust or take a break. BTW, it's super impressive that you've lost over 100 pounds. How heavy is your husband? 170 is higher than the average woman, but not anything crazy. It would be the equivalent of like a 511 dude sitting on another dude, which seems fairly safe. My ex was around 200 pounds, possibly more at times, and she sat on my lap all the time. Unless your husband is built like a stick, you should be fine. Weight is dispersed much differently across a lap than if you sat on his shoulder or stepped on his foot. People can hold pretty heavy people on their lap, for the most part. 170 lb is an extremely normal weight, especially since you said you're very, very tall. You're absolutely fine to sit on his lap. 170 is more than just fine. Unless he has some health issues or some sort of disability, he'll be just fine. As a matter of fact, I am willing to bet he'd enjoy being so close and would go for snuggles. My wife was the same weight as me when she was pregnant, around 200. She was and is now back around 150. There really wasn't that much of a difference when she would sit on my lap. Also, my wife will sometimes sit on my lap or hug me and the dog will jump on her lap. With the dog being about 80, I'm still more than fine with everyone on top of me. Ask him. Only he can give you the correct answer. I'm 178 and I can sit on my boyfriend's lap. He is shorter than me and about 15 pounds lighter. You'll be fine unless your husband has a medical issue of some sort. Honey, at 170 you can safely sit on his face. If his face can handle that weight, his lap definitely can handle it. Nobody sits on someone else for a long time. You will absolutely not hurt him. Even 200 to 220 is in the acceptable range. Have a seat. I've had way heavier women than what you're describing sit on my lap. There was nothing negative about the experience. So leap into hubby's lap all you want. I was 180 when my husband and I were dating and I comfortably sat in his lap, and I still do after 5 kids and an additional 60 pounds. I don't hang out there for hours anymore, but he is perfectly content with about 20-30 minutes still. And honestly, the worst thing likely is his legs getting numb and needing to readjust. You certainly won't put him in any actual danger. Congrats on the weight loss! Men have insanely strong muscles, and if he's older 50, he'll also have accurate old man strength, which basically makes him a walking tank. 170 pounds isn't going to hurt him at all unless he's weak from an illness. He can probably pick you up if he wanted to. At 170 you can easily sit on your husband's lap unless perhaps he is a very small person. I am talking clinically underweight and or less than 5 feet tall, and even then it would not be unsafe, just maybe uncomfortable for him. 170 pounds would be fine assuming he's anywhere around 150 pounds or more. I'm a guy, and when I was 130 pounds I had guy friends who weighed 200 pounds sit on me and all was good. For me it's always been less about weight and more about whether or not the woman has a bony ass. A full-sized woman can sit on my lap all day as long as her butt isn't digging into my thighs. I'm 51 and 100 pounds and every lap I've ever sat on has still had to move me at some point. I'd say go for it, and if he asks you to move at some point I wouldn't take it personally. Hell, I can only handle my 3-year-old sitting on my lap for a short period of time. If he dies, he dies. I would say it depends on the man. I'm 150 and end up on a man's lap from time to time. He doesn't seem to mind at all. But like I said, depends on the size of the guy. You're definitely fine, the main issue would be time. This depends on the person, but a head will cut off circulation in an arm when cuddling. Sitting on a lap, the same thing happens. Your partner just needs to be comfortable letting you know when they are uncomfortable, whether it's 30 minutes or 5. Do it. He will be overjoyed. 170 lb woman he loves on his lap. Yeah, he'll be completely fine. Lol. I'm 120 pounds and my BF over 200. He can sit in my lap for a little bit without causing me pain. Just gotta evenly distribute your weight.